well, technically second, but first, I'll say first event this weekend with I know Joker and Ray are also doing it.
Nice.
But I'm not doing it with them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's the okay. What is it? I've been posting all about it. What am I? Oh my god. Oh, Rise of the Rivals. That's what I'm thinking of.
Rise of the Rivals.
Rise of the Rivals.
Okay. I was expecting to see Hunter with a beer again today. Kind of sad that he's got.
No, that's a very exclusive thing to Joker. Also, I literally do not have a beer inside the building. I have hard liquor if that will suit the bill. But
you know what? Speaking of hard liquor, why don't we get started with the podcast? Because I definitely did not start recording about a minute ago.
You definitely did.
No, I definitely did. At this point, Hunter, you know I did.
I seem to pick up when you have started.
Well, so. I always like to start mid conversation, so people have to kind of guess what we're talking about before.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's led to funny stuff, and sometimes it's just led to nothing really. I think most times it's nothing. We've had 1 or 2 times where it's been we enter midway through a conversation where it's the weirdest shit in the world, and it's kind of funny.
In the first
it was the ending you did for the Joker one. You had this nice little closing, and then before you end stream or end the video, you're like, that sucked or something like that. Yeah, you had me laughing when I saw it at the end.
I do that so often because I can't I fucking suck at introing. Every week it's what number are we on? Because I forget. I have it written down. This is episode 11 of the For the Love of Prod podcast. So there, a good intro finally. Actually, probably not, but it's something. No one has to be good at intros. Actually, no, you kind of do, but
we should probably be good at it.
I mean, yeah, we should, as casters, we should probably be at least decent at it. I feel like I'm decent at intros, just not for this podcast. Yeah, but everyone, welcome back to the 11th episode of For the Love of Prod. As always, I'm joined by Huntertain and Megalass, and this week we are pleased to be joined by Haughtsauce. Haughtsauce, you are actually the first person to join us that I was not the person who reached out to you.
Nice.
Hunter was the first person to reach out to you, and mostly just because I was busy yesterday and traveling back home, and Hunter reached out to me and said hey, have you got someone for this week? And I'm like, no, I haven't. If you have someone, please reach out to them.
Heck yeah. Yeah, I've had the pleasure of working with Hunter at least once, maybe twice, but I felt like we connected right away. It was a really great cast, and then I found out that he is also from or lives in Ohio as well, so that kind of just upped the ante a little bit. I'm like, yeah, I knew I liked this guy, and so when he reached out, I was excited to come and be a part of it. So I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, I have family in Ohio. Gone to Ohio a decent amount. My brother and father went to school in Ohio.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What part roughly?
Ohio, Athens.
Yeah. Athens?
Yeah, they went to Ohio University.
Oh, okay. Yep, fair enough.
So I know Hunter, you're Bowling Green?
Yeah, well, technically, yeah, Bowling Green.
And crap, you said you were Akron, right?
That's where I currently live, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, Maction's fun. That's what I can say about that. But so, I mean, we like to just have a lot of fun on this podcast. But I mean, outside of our first main 2 questions, I'm probably gonna have Hunter, you kind of steer it a little bit this week. Hunter?
Yeah. I just this is a first for me.
Yeah, I mean,
it's an honor.
I mean, as the person who brought this person on, I feel like since you know a little bit more and you've been able to talk with him a couple of times before, I feel like you kind of leading us through this one will be fun. Or it could go down in flames, but I feel like no matter what, it's going to be watchable.
All right, I'll do that then. But we should still probably start with the usual basis.
Yeah.
Because Dex, we usually have 2 questions we always ask, and it's the one thing we have been consistent with in this podcast so far.
See, you're already taking the reins like you know what you're doing here.
He's a professional.
Yeah. One of the most professional, probably the most professional person here.
Oh, no. Whoa.
What?
No.
All right, but But hot sauce, we with everyone, as you've watched the podcast before, so you know what the two questions are going to be. But what got you into doing esports stuff and casting in general? Like, what got you into esports?
Well, I've been a gamer since I was probably 4 or 5 years old. Always have just been a gamer, but about a little more than 6 years ago, actually, 9 days after I had a baby with my wife, she had a stroke, and she was in a coma for a very long time. Once she was out of the coma, she was in a wheelchair for a long time. So I quit both of my day jobs to stay home and take care of her and our newborn child. And I had streamed for like a year, maybe 5 years prior to that, and had a decent amount of success. So I thought, well, let me just do that on the side while I'm home to see if I can get any additional income. And so within the first 3 months, my viewers bought me my first PC. So I upgraded from Xbox to PC. I started playing some Counter-Strike and some other stuff. And when I was dead, I just start casting over the game for the remainder of the round. And an org happened to see me, and they're like, hey, we enjoy that. Would you like to come cast for us? And so I went and cast for them. They started out on Counter-Strike, which they had a very good team that a couple of the guys ended up going pro, but they ended up picking up an RLCS team. And so I ended up casting like several RLCS games, like for the Renegades and E United and a bunch of stuff. And so I just kind of got lucky, like right time, right place situation. And so 6 years later, I've been able to do it full time. I bought my first house last year. And so it's been a long journey and a tough one for sure, but a very fun and rewarding one.
I think you're the first person I've ever heard that said, yeah, I was able to buy a house with like esports money that wasn't a player.
Yeah. I mean, just since this year, I did my first gig this year on January 15th, and I'm coming up on my 100th gig already here this week. So I cast multiple different orgs and places every day. This weekend was my first weekend off in like over 2 months, I think. So I've been enjoying it a little bit, but yeah, I mean, I hit the grindstone pretty hard. And then, you know, when I'm not casting, I do a little streaming on the side. And luckily I don't average a lot of viewers, but I've grown a really great community. And so they've bought everything that I have here that I work with today. They bought a lot of my wife's tattoo stuff when she was getting back into tattooing after her stroke and stuff. So I've grown a really great community that takes care of me as well. So I'm very lucky in what I got.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, like you said, fuck, I don't know where I'm going with that, but I mean, it does sound like you were incredibly lucky with a lot of stuff there. But I mean, you coming up on your 100th cast or event of the year here soon. I mean, like, I just hit 40 this past week, and I always say, like, you know, this is a lot for this point. And whenever I hear people say, like, like I already have this many or this many more than what I have, it's like, huh. Because I just look at it as, like, we're all kind of grinding to get to the point where you're at right now. But it's just insane to hear, like, people that do 5, 6, 7 or more than seven events a week. Mostly because it's like, you know, if you're averaging more than 7, it's like, okay, you're doing more than one thing a day. And like, there are other casters out there where it's like, okay, yeah, I have 2 things a day, 3 things tomorrow, 2 things the next day. And it's like, holy shit, man. Like, do you have any time to rest? But like, you see, like, they have this passion for this, and they generally love just doing like an event after an event after an event after an event.
Yeah.
But like you just said, you just had your first off week here. I imagine that's something where you got this kind of sit back, relax, like, whew, I don't have to worry about anything. I don't have to do anything here. Like, I have to imagine you love those opportunities, but probably halfway through the first off day you had, you're like, God, I'm bored.
Yeah, you go right back to streaming and stuff, right? Because no, I mean, I casting is my biggest passion. I tell people all the time, you know, I could cast somebody microwaving a burrito. Like, I just genuinely enjoy doing the job. And you know, like I said, I've gotten to do RLCS. I've gotten to do all 3 days of TwitchCon in 2022. But the stuff that Hunter and I do over at TEC is some of my favorite, because this will be my 3rd or 4th LAN. But when I go over there, as soon as I walk in, hot sauce, hot sauce, I'm signing jerseys and taking pictures. And these kids think that I'm like way more famous than I actually am. Like, and it's great to see how much they genuinely appreciate what you do. You've got parents and grandparents coming up and thanking you and saying they watch you every Wednesday night to cast their kids' games. So it's like moments like that are almost more rewarding than doing those really big gigs.
Yeah, I haven't got to that point yet. Mostly wasn't because I've only done like 2 lands now. But
Yeah.
like when there are some like small community run leagues that I do cast for, and I reach out to like some players and some teams every now and then to like get some information about them. They'll send me a message saying like, "Wait, you're casting my game this week? That's awesome! I love your casting."
Yeah.
And it's always one of those things where I sit there like saying, "I don't know really what to say other than just thank you," because I don't want to I don't want to do too much or too little with it. Like it's an awkward
It feels
thing.
good though, right?
It feels
and like my first year I was almost too shy about it. I was like, oh, I'm not, I'm nothing. But then I was like, well, they really appreciate me, so I should just be there and kind of embrace it. And so the following years I got much better at handling it. But it is something that just it feels great.
Yeah, like it's something that like especially like within the first year or two of me casting, it was really something where it was like it was the best feeling in the world. Like it gave me like that dopamine rush, and like I like for the next week I was like nothing can fucking touch me. I feel great.
Yeah, exactly.
This like everything's worth it. Like I've told the story before, I think on this podcast. Like I went to Toronto for the last Owl Grand Finals, and I ran into a bunch of people from a league that no longer exists anymore for Overwatch called Tranquility. And they immediately noticed who I was, and it was like, fuck, that made the entire trip worth it, because I don't know any of these people, but like 5 people came up to me and said, "Are you Dexatron?" And it was like, cool? Holy shit.
Yeah. I remember my first one 6 years ago was my first ever LAN event, and I was walking around at like 7 a.m. just getting a feel of the thing. It was out in like Iowa. It was the Mage, which is like the Mid Something Gaming Expo. But I was walking around, and this guy was like, "Haughtsauce?" And it was the first time anybody had recognized, and it just felt really, really cool. And funny enough, they run production Zekers over at TEC, but they were the only Rocket League team in there practicing at like 6 or 7 a.m. And they went on to win the tournament as well. And it was really cool to see people putting in that extra time and then seeing it pay off as well. So, but yeah, I love what I do. The other day we were out bowling, and my 6-year-old daughter, I went up to bowl, and she's like, "Dad's up to bowl. He's and she's pretending like she's announcing and stuff. And so it's cool to see stuff like that as well.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have a kid yet to have that kind of experience.
I'm old, I'm
no,
old.
No, like one of our jokes here is that we're all older than probably most of the other casters that we work with.
Yeah, I might be close to the oldest.
I don't want to ask, but how old?
I'm 30. I just turned 39 in January.
You might be the oldest person we've had on this podcast so far.
That's right. Old but gold. I like to call myself Albert Feinstein.
I mean, you look incredible.
No, I'm just playing, but. And then I recently got an opportunity to cast with Megalass. I know we were talking briefly before we got on here, but that was really cool as well. And so I had, just recently got to meet them, but I really enjoyed the cast that we did together as well. And it's always great I'm always excited to cast with somebody new until I cast with them, and then like they're not good or they're stepping on your toes and stuff. But then when you cast with somebody for the first time and they pick it up right away, nobody's stepping on each other, the throws and everything are good, they have a really good knowledge, and everything just runs smoothly, and you're like, oh yeah, that was great. And so that was the experience that I recently had with Megalass as well.
Yeah, no, it was great to get to cast it again. I feel like that cast was crap from me because, as you see now, I am the VTuber caster, and TEC is the first place that has ever not let me be a VTuber.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily have beef with that because, you want to run your own thing. I get it. I can't tell you what to do.
Mm-hmm.
But literally Overwatch League or Overwatch. What's it called now? The Overwatch Champion Series. People up there have acknowledged me as a VTuber caster, both players and other people in the scene and stuff. And so, but like you said, getting a cast with you for the first time, it was absolutely amazing. Because again, there was just that natural synergy of just realizing, hey, listen, we're both casters, we know what we're here to do. So there wasn't any awkwardness, there wasn't any issues, and that's so nice to have, just sort of a natural gel of two people, even if they've never worked together, because they realize what needs to be done, and just making it seem seamless, like you've been together, like you've cast together before. It's amazing.
Now, I guess let me ask a question here. Is it tough to right? Hunter's like, who is this guy? Is it tough to find gigs as a VTuber when you're casting and stuff? Because for me, like originally, I thought whenever I see a caster, I kind of prefer to see an actual face there. But then, like after working with you and then like seeing the VTuber model and stuff, like it's something that like honestly wouldn't bother me at all to work with someone who is a VTuber. So. But do you find it a little more difficult to find work being a VTuber caster?
Like it technically, like I could argue and say yes that it is harder, but at the same time, it's one of those things where like casting, even though I know I could try to pursue it at a much higher level than I am, I'm just kind of chilling where I am, so I'm not necessarily looking for those like extra gigs and stuff like that. Like I said, it's been something that's been brought up with orgs before, like talking about like, hey, listen, is the VTuber thing like a guarantee? I'm like, for the most part, like I normally turn down offers, even if it's for money. If there's even if they're like, hey, listen, we don't really want to do the VTuber thing, but it's just one of those situations of sometimes you have to prioritize the money over personal comfort. Because again, the VTuber caster thing for me is just personal comfort. Like, I'm so unbelievably nervous in front of a camera. Like, this allows me to be comfortable, deliver the information in a calm, effective way, and make like I always feel like my higher quality caster always when I'm a VTuber. Like, genuinely speaking, Haughtsauce, you are the first person to have seen me IRL in 6 years. Like, I genuinely, I do not do camera stuff.
Gotcha. Well, I feel privileged now. I mean, I think you did a great job, but when you put it like that, because like I was kind of wondering about different things, but when you put it like that about just kind of being more comfortable and allowing you to do a better job, it makes sense.
Yeah. And I had something I was going to carry on with, but
I think we have a new host for the show, guys. I think it's Ellen.
No, but going back to what you said, like I've only known Mega as a VTuber, and like at some point I would love to meet Mega in person, but until then, like what?
I said one of the events, I'll get there.
Yeah, but until then, like this is how I know Mega, and like seeing IRL Mega would kind of throw me off at first, but like nothing. Like I'm not trying to make that seem like a bad thing.
I mean, honestly, I felt like it was very similar. Like there's the green hair as well, so it just kind of. I'd seen the podcast with Joker, so I had an idea, but then I saw the green hair and I was like, oh, it's very fitting. Like, yeah, I see it now. I get it.
Well, see.
Oh, we have Megalass.
That is great. But so fun fact: the green hair is literally It's very weird and it sounds weird. I bought a cosplay of myself as my VTuber.
Oh, okay.
Like that's why. That's
so
why.
Was that a wig then?
Yes, that is a wig.
Oh, awesome! Heck yeah.
Like I have a full cosplay of myself, but it's one of those things where just, again, just it's about levels of comfort and all that jazz. Fun fact: speaking of levels of comfort, I noticed that you followed the VTuber Twitter, to interact Haughtsauce, and like, I love following people on Twitter. Please follow the casting Twitter. There's so much unhinged things that happen on my like actual VTuber Twitter.
I didn't know there was a different one.
Yeah. See. I didn't realize I needed to check with Prod because I didn't tell Prod to link a Twitter at all. I was like, oh, okay.
What is this picture of?
This is another caster we know in the Fletch. For Halloween, we were all. It was like a dress up thing for like a cast we were doing, and Fletch did not tell anyone he was doing this. Fletch is like for all the like smaller leagues and stuff that I work with. Fletch is like we're bound at the hip. People think that we're like actually a package deal, even though we've never said it, just because of how often we work together. But yeah, this is just what Fletch decided to dress up for as Halloween. It's me. It's great.
But no, you're missing a key piece of context here. They have a like rivalry going on where they will just
rivalry. We just actively talk about harming each other.
It's a friendly rival.
Exactly.
Does anyone have the Mega? Do you have the clip where, completely out of context, it sounds like Fletch is just being completely misogynistic towards you?
Oh, I can find it. Oh my god! Listen, that's a great clip as well. Hang on, I have to add to a trend here.
Oh, for some more context, Haughtsauce. This is the dude who did the cast from the gas station.
Oh wow, the story is coming full circle now.
Yeah. Yeah, like also, if you ever see like any OWCS promotion with any fans, you will see him. He has every like promotional ad that they have. He is in it.
Wow.
Like, it was so funny watching him in Stockholm, where someone came up and said, "Hey, can you sign these papers so we can use like your likeness?" He was like, "Yeah, sure." Just immediately went straight to it. I'm actually going to backtrack here a moment, because you talked about, working with Mega and how sometimes when you're working with someone for the first time, you don't necessarily know, like how they go, or, being able to step on toes. Like this past weekend, like I worked with two people I'd never worked with before, and I think both of them, for the most part, it was their first time casting. Phoenix with Rocket League at Winthrop, and then Wheats with Overwatch, who Wheats is the coach of Nightmare, who won the NA region. Never casted before, but like everyone there, and even myself, gave him a lot of flowers after it, because he was able to do it so like naturally. And as a coach, I imagine that it really helped out. But like he knew when to hand it off, and he knew when to pick it up, which is something like as first time casters, I feel like is something very, very difficult to like get that timing on. And it's incredible when you've never worked with someone before, like when you probably worked with Megalass, and they knew how to keep the flow kind of going.
So what happens when you have a caster who isn't good at that? Who's stepping on your toes and causing a little issues like that? How do you handle or address that situation?
Ooh, that's always a tough thing, because you don't want to start stepping back on their toes. It's mostly a thing where, and it's something where, like, growing up, I would always just, if someone started talking while I was already talking, I would just immediately stop. Like, just let them go, let them finish it. But during breaks or after the game, I would just say, like, hey, you need to give me my time to do this, do my role, so you can do your role. But depending on how new they are, it's like, I don't want to say exactly what I want to say, because I don't want them to stop casting.
Right.
I don't want to be too mean.
Yeah, and I'm always curious, because some people like won't say anything, right? But I feel like as a caster, it's your job to say something, but you just got to do it in a nice way, especially if they're new.
Yeah. I feel like I would say probably all of us have at least had that conversation once with someone who's relatively new.
Yeah,
where it's like trying to describe things in the very nice way as possible, because it's not like if it's someone who experienced it to be, it's like, okay, they should probably know better. But if it's someone new, you kind of have to take that realization of, okay, they don't fully understand the flow of how to kind of pass things off and when to hand things over. And it's natural. I've had that conversation multiple times, and it's always been great conversations, like quite honestly. But definitely those moments where it happens, it's kind of this moment of like, all right, get past this map. We'll talk during the break.
Yes,
everything all sorted away. It's not the end of the world. It's not the end of anything. So, I don't know. Generally don't have too much of a problem with it, except when I won't throw shade on anybody. It was going to be joking shade, mind you. I wasn't actually.
No, you can throw shade.
I could throw shade. I could throw shade.
We slandered
I love
Hippie.
Watching people throw shade.
We slandered Hippie last week. There was a running joke where we would always just slander person. I mean.
No, all I know is my British man needs to learn when to stop talking. That's all I gotta say.
Is this Mega? Is this the clip?
Yeah, I found it.
Oh yes, let's change topics entirely, please.
You're British, man.
Oh right, and
this is still about Flynn. This is still about Flynn.
So wait, how did we do this last week? What did I need to do? Oh, it was literally I had to share my screen.
Yeah, you just had to share your screen. So for some context, with the fact that this is also like borderline misogyny against Megalass, it's also on the Rising Chord, which is which within Overwatch. Yeah, essentially. So, just doubling down in that sense. So This is officially the cancellation of In the Fletch.
Yeah, 1 second. I'm getting everything ready on my side.
Hey, laser.
Takes a headshot, but not full charge there, so able to weather that storm. But, gets out, pops us another there, and make that 2 for Megalass already. Oh my god! I don't want to give her the respect she deserves, but my god!
Oh God! Listen,
I don't want to give her
that
the
was
respect she
I don't know
deserves.
where
I
I'm
gotta
going with
ask
this
though,
anymore.
controller or mouse and key?
mouse and keyboard. I'm just
Okay.
absolutely awful at the game.
No, those were great shots.
Yeah.
If it was controller, I was going to throw a little shade, but as a mouse and
Oh
keyer,
no,
you know,
no.
like
We make fun of console players here. Don't you worry. Headrunner
okay,
gets bullied
okay,
on the daily.
good. That's what I like to hear.
Okay, but so let's move on to the second part of the question now. And I mean, hey, we were
Hey,
on
no,
a good
I'm not
we were on a
joking.
good roll there, Hunter. I didn't want to
We
necessarily
had a
break it
great
up.
roll.
Yeah.
Also, make sure you send it back. Because maybe it's me. You sent
No,
my
it's
message,
paused for
right?
me
Oh
as well.
yeah, my
Yeah,
bad,
yeah.
my
You
bad.
might want to send
I
it.
was trying to figure out what you guys are talking about. My bad. I got it. Here we go.
Dexatron
You're all
has
good.
minimized their application.
There we go.
Please
Let's
hold
We're back.
on.
go.
We're back.
Cheers.
Okay, but
Second question.
hot sauce. I mean, you kind of already talked about it here a little bit, but what keeps you coming back? Like, what keeps you coming back to it? You already did mention like it's your full-time job at this
Yeah.
point, but like other than that, what is the thing that really keeps you coming back?
I mean, for one, you know, the relationship that I've built with a lot of these students and parents at the lands, that, like I said, that feeling is great. But just the simple fact that I get to cast video games for a living and be at home with my family all the time. I'm like, you couldn't ask for a better job if it's something that you're truly passionate about. So I get to now finally do what I love doing. Yes, I bought my first house, but I mean, money is always super tight as a caster. You know, I told you the incident that what led me into it, which so my wife is on disability. So money, I would like to be making just a little bit more money, but I mean, I've seen myself on pretty much a steady incline since I started 6 years ago. And so I know that I'm taking steps in the right direction, which is great to see. I mean, in an industry like this, you don't see success overnight. The amount of people that try for 1, 3, 4 years and then get, well, I didn't make it. I mean, if you truly love what you're doing, then you should keep grinding for it. If you grind for a while and all of a sudden you come to that realization, well, maybe it's not exactly what I want to do, then that's fine. But for me, I knew that this is what I wanted to do. So there were some months that were really, really tough, or, you know, things were really tight, or we did fall behind on some bills and stuff. But luckily for me, I have a very supportive wife and a very supportive family. And so, like, you know, I was encouraged to just kind of keep going and keep going. And I've gotten to take them to some of the LAN events over in PA. And so, like, a lot of the students, like, I mean, we kind of almost like a big family with that community now. So it's really cool to see how far it's come and to see how many opportunities young kids have now. You know, scholarships. I got a friend who played on the USA Olympic team for Counter-Strike. So, I mean, it's just like there are some esports scenes that are struggling money-wise and different things, but like I feel like Scholastics is a great thing to get involved with because they have government funding. So as a caster, like I've found that the pay isn't always as nice as some other things, but it's guaranteed Monday through Thursday, Monday through Friday work consistently, which then in return ends up leading to other things. So.
Yeah, and like you working in Scholastic, like I've been trying to figure out how to get into like high school and the collegiate leagues because after working DreamHack Atlanta last year for their collegiate event, like I said, like that's where I want to be. Everyone there was so nice. Everyone there was so passionate about. All the players were so passionate about the game. Everyone working production and all the casters, they were just like, you know, talking to all the players, talking to coaches, getting the stories, and it's just like it's a lot. I'm trying to word this right, but it's a lot better than probably what you get at some of the pro levels when it comes to that kind of stuff because like you're getting, you know, kids who are being able to go to school, go to college because they play this game. And that's something that's incredible to tell that story. It's like, yeah, you know, they're really good at this game, but they're going to get like their chemistry's not a degree, but they're going to school for some incredible thing that once they graduate, you know, they'll be set for life, basically. Those stories are so much fun to tell.
Yeah, just the fact that you get a free ride toward college. I mean, we've had 2 or 3 students now that I've done some meet and greets with the schools and stuff. And so I've got to see them play 3 to 4 years of high school. And now I've seen them drafted from colleges. So I know at least 2 of the kids that I've cast for have been drafted by colleges. We still kind of keep in touch. And so a couple of the colleges I even cast for. So it's cool because I got to see them play in high school. Now I'm getting to cast them in college and to see these students grow. And like sometimes when you do these interviews and you hear these young kids speak, some of them have their minds put together than half the adults across the United States. To hear some of them, the way they speak and like, wow, it's kind of reassuring because, I don't know if you've been on Facebook or Twitter lately, but there's a lot of depressing things going on out there, though. So to see the youth, taking steps in the right direction is a little bit reassuring to this crazy place, or crazy thing we got going on. But
I'm happy I'm not on Facebook. I'm sadly on Twitter. Sadly on Twitter, but
I've always said Twitter was for twats and tots, but then once I started casting and stuff, I'm like, well, I need one. I've got to have a social out there, and so but I mean, I got lucky. I got my TwitchCon gig, a bunch of these gigs without even ever having a reel. I didn't get my first reel until last year. But I had some friends kind of motivate me, and so now I've built a website, and I have my own, like, Haughtsauce.com. And so respect the stash, shout out Haughtsauce.com. And so, it took me a little while to kind of get into the right direction, but it's been great. Like, and like I said, the high schoolers, they've drawn some really cool pictures for me. I get people kind of sending in like fan art that I get to use. And so it's been this whole journey. I'm incredibly thankful and consider myself very lucky.
I always jokingly said, you've made it when you have people doing fan art of you.
Yeah.
I haven't got to that point yet, but like there's a couple.
You will, I believe.
Hopefully. But there's a couple of like other casters that I've worked with, and some that I consider friends. Like, yeah, they've gotten fan art for them. Like, holy fucking shit. It's like, that's insane that someone out there liked you enough to say, yeah, you know what? I'm going to draw this dude. And
I have a picture at one of the LANs of me and all the students after they won a championship. And so they went back and redrew the picture but they're all in the Valorant agent outfits for their Valorant team, and some different cool things like that. But yeah, I mean, it's cool. Like I said, doing big events is cool. Making the big money is cool. I'd like to make it in high school, but the feeling that you get from doing those high school LANs and stuff and seeing how much they appreciate you is just like, it's a really cool feeling.
Yeah. There was a high school league I wanted to work for so bad this semester, because like, they're still supporting my game, or they're still supporting Overwatch. They announced in like late December, like, oh yeah, we're dropping Overwatch and picking up Rivals. I was like, damn.
Yeah. Honestly, Hunter, you should get them in over at Tech. I mean, Tech's always looking for additional casters, and we do Overwatch. I mean, we do everything over there. But yeah, how do you guys feel about the perk situation in
Overwatch?
Overwatch.
I think when it was first announced, and I don't know how Hunter and Mega felt about it when it was first announced. Like, I think it was something where it was something where everyone kind of said, well, now there's a lot of other stuff that we have to learn, but now that we've had it for like a month and a half, it's like,
no,
yeah, we kind of get it. It's not too much. It's a nice fold, another wrinkle in it, but it's not necessarily like, oh, this person picked this perk, they're gonna be owning the entire lobby. No, like,
right.
It's. I like it. I feel like I've only ran into one or two people who said, yeah, no, I just downright hate it.
Yeah, like I'll run it if I run like ranked on like DPS, it would be like the gold plat area, and I'll hear that from quite a few people, and it kind of stings because I love perks at this point. In terms of being a caster, I thought it was going to be a lot more of a stress initially because it was hyped up as, hey, we have to learn all of this shit in 4 days. Have fun, everybody. And then there's not even proper optimization for them to be seen on screen during matches. And it's like, this is going to be fun. But to be fair, some of these perks are also very clear. Like when I look up, if I'm like watching a POV and I see a turret stuck to a wall, I'm like, yeah, I think I know what the Torb chose as their perk.
Right.
I think I have a pretty good idea at this point.
That might be one of my favorite perks. It goes back to the joke I always make with, oh yeah, Overwatch players, they don't look up. All you have to do is just stick it to a ceiling. But Mega, what do you feel about the perks?
I mean, it's a good direction for the game because it's something that no other game is doing, to have those different kind of power spikes. And it's not even like a power spike of becoming OP. It's like, for some characters, it genuinely can change like win cons and how you play fights, right? Like the biggest thing that comes to mind is specifically Pharah, right? As soon as she gets that change to her concussive blast, it's one of her major perks where it pulls instead of pushes people out. You completely change how you're playing Pharah, right? All of a sudden, player with a ball comp, you can sync those up with those slams. You can sync those up with pulse bombs, what you've seen a lot of people do, and things like that. it's a nice little like change of pace in the middle of a game without changing heroes or doing anything else that forces you to adapt. And I mean, that level of adaptation is great, not just as a player because it's going to keep you more engaged, but for us like sitting and casting, that's just another hype moment to pick up on because it's a little nuance. It's something that you could be like, oh shit, they're doing something crazy here, and it just absolutely it makes it all the better. I will say some perks are stupid. Why?
Yeah.
Like, thankfully they took out.
Some perks are stupid.
Thankfully they took Malga out back, but the fact that anybody thought he was allowed to have to like just gain HP for sitting on an objective, that was stupid. That dev needed to be rethought of what they were doing.
They have a strong love for Malga somewhere. There's the devs have a strong love for
not
Malga.
anymore.
I feel like.
I look at it as a thing of like, okay, this is one of our newer heroes. They need to be like in the meta for the first year and a half of their existence, other than Lifeweaver, because
Poor guy.
that man, they have never been. They have never been considered good, and I think the overwhelming thing I've heard about them is like, oh yeah, please rework this character. They're just not good at all. They do a lot of healing, which I think we've all played games where it's like, oh yeah, I feel like I'm doing nothing. I look at how much healing I have. I have 12,000 healing. What am I doing? Yeah. But final question before I kind of let Hunter take the reins here, Haughtsauce. You cast a lot of these different games.
Mm-hmm.
What is the one in your opinion that kind of gives you like the hypest moments, or the ones that you are always kind of looking at as being like, I really, really enjoy casting this game?
I know this.
Man, that's a really tough one because there's so many hype moments in all of these games, from Overwatch to Rocket League to Valorant and Counter-Strike. I'd say I have some of my biggest moments, though, probably in Counter-Strike because I do a lot of solo casting in Counter-Strike. Mm-hmm. So I run the production and the casting, and so it's just me the whole time. So I'm always hitting all the excitement. For me, it's probably Counter-Strike or Valorant, with Rocket League being a close second. For me, Overwatch at times is a little chaotic, so you don't always get those moments that you do. Whereas like Valorant, it's kind of like the round starts off a little slow. It has that build up and explosion, and so you're casting these double, triple, quadra kills, and so I feel like there's a little bit more hype when it comes to that. So probably either Counter-Strike or Valorant.
Yeah, I could definitely see like why those would be like the hypest ones. I mean, hell, you watch any of the LANs for them, or any like the major tournaments for them, like insane viewers, and the gameplay is just insane to watch. And I think that just comes with the type of game it is, with it being a tac shooter. Like everything kind of means a little bit more when you only have one life around. But I have to agree with you. Rocket League, like, even though Overwatch is like my main game, I think Rocket League has definitely brought out more like incredible like hype moments for me, because like hell, this past weekend, Game 7, team was up by 1, clock struck 0, other team got the ball halfway in the goal and did not get it to go in. The ball was just sitting there, and it was like, oh my goodness, like you want to overtime because like perfect storybook there, like but the defense locking in and making sure they kept the ball out was just like, I felt so good after that, because it's the combination of like an exciting series, an exciting end, and like you can't ask for anything better.
Yeah, and in 5 minutes you're doing the same thing all over again, and it's just as exciting. It's really short little bursts of that kind of excitement where you have a lot of overtimes, you have a lot of those goals that come in after regulation and the clock has ended, and you got those players who kind of add their little flashy razzle dazzle to it as they're spinning through the sky, and so there's a lot of really cool things that can have a lot of exciting moments. So we even see that at the high school level. I mean, there's some kids that are ranked SSL in high school, in top 500 in high school. So you'd still get some of those amazing moments. Sometimes you get the schools that are 9-1 versus 1-9 school, and it's a bit of a blowout. But honestly, I have so much fun casting games. I cast more than 50 different games, from board games to card games. I was casting a game of Skip Bow for Extra Life Charity down at Florida MGM, and the guy ended it with 2 bows. We're like, he throws a bow, it's another bow, the bow. we're going crazy. And there was these old ass people coming up to us saying, "That's the most exciting game of skip-ball I've ever seen." And it's just like it's just a cool feeling to know that people appreciate what you do no matter what the game is. I always tell people there's a ton of casters out there that are more knowledgeable than me, but there's not that many that are as hype as me or like to have as much fun as me. I feel like I love to be very energetic in my cast. I'm often maybe a little too hype. But I tell people that all the time. There's definitely more knowledgeable casters, but I just like to put on a good show for people.
Yeah, and like the thing is, I never feel bad about getting too hype about it.
Me either.
Like I look at it as you're showing that you have passion for this. That I always talk to new casters and people who are like coming to me for advice. Like, hey, the one thing I always say, like, bring energy. Don't be monotone. Like, show that you really deeply care about what's going on. It could just be a mid-season, midweek game. Really doesn't matter towards anything. But if you go into everything and cast it like it's a grand final, or like wow, why did I stop there? Like I've definitely gone into stuff saying like, hey, cast it as if this is the last time you're ever gonna cast. Like, make sure you leave it all out there. Like, I always will look at that saying, I'd rather do that than just be someone who doesn't really want or doesn't really try that much and just wants to get all the information out there that I possibly can.
People want to be entertained, right? At the end of the day. Like if they wanted to watch the gameplay, they would watch just the gameplay. And so they want to hear that they want to hear the excitement. They want to hear that passion. But I mean, that's just how, like, luckily when I'm casting, I don't have an issue. Now, if I'm gaming, like I can't help but cuss. Like anything that pops off or scares me, I'm jumping. Like I used to do a show every Friday night for Cooler Master. And sometimes we would cast, but sometimes we would play. And there was one time I think we were playing The Cycle. And this dude jumped out of a bush, and I was like, "Oh shit!" Fuck. I'm like, "Oh, sorry guys." Luckily they didn't care, but it's one of those things. Like when I'm casting, no issues remaining professional. But if I'm in that driver's seat and I'm playing, I don't know why. It's just really tough for me.
You brought up The Cycle. I played that a decent amount, and is it still live? Because it feels like
No, the cycle is now offline.
Yeah, like I thought it was a unique way to do a BR, in my opinion, because you could just form teams after.
Yeah, it was a shooter looter extraction, technically.
Yeah.
Kind of like Tarkov, but a little different.
Yeah,
I just thought I thought it had a really fun gameplay loop.
It did. 100% agree.
I hate that. I hate that it's now dead. But like when I was playing it a lot, it was like, I suck at the game. I can't shoot to save my life, but like I can collect shit and I can run, and that sometimes
I'm a
is
gamer,
good
man. I won a national championship in 2004 for Halo, which kind of ruined my college career because they gave me $4,000 and I spent it on non-college things. But I was number 2 in the world for Hype Squad, which was like a melee BR. I was number 27 in the world for the finals. When that game was out, I'm kind of a leaderboard chaser at times. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I've been gaming since I was 4 or 5. Like I remember I lived with my grandparents at the time and I had a Nintendo and we had this like shitty little, it was kind of like a convenience store, but it was like half open. Like it was like a produce, like a natural little farmer's market almost, but they also rented out Nintendo games. And so my grandpa hated it, but he would still take me down there and let me rent games and stuff for Nintendo, like way back in the day. Probably before you all kids was even born.
Yeah, I was born in 98, so probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, 97 here.
Yeah.
86.
So you truly grew up in the 90s.
Yeah. I was gaming right around 1990 when I got my first Nintendo.
I remember that. The first console I remember having is an N64, but it was closely followed up by a GameCube.
And I had so many blisters right here in my hand from the N64 playing Mario Party because you had to spin the joystick like this as fast as you could. I'm very competitive too. Like I'm very competitive when it comes to games. I'm not a sore loser though, but I'm very competitive. Maybe a little bit of a sore winner.
It's all about bragging rights in the end.
Yeah.
Is it worse to be a sore winner or a sore loser?
Depends on how far you go
I
each way.
think a sore loser personally, but yeah, I don't know. There's certainly lines right on each side. Like you can't take it too far. Just like with any shit talking or banter, like there's a line there.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Yeah.
And I try to habitually step over it.
I,
No, I'm just playing.
that was my thing. I've said before is like growing up, I was not a competitive person. So like even like the sports I did in high school, like I didn't really care a whole lot. And then getting out of high school, I'm like, huh. I suddenly want to be good at things, and actually compete in things, which is Desk. That was something that I got into like a very late mentality for. Something I wish I had much longer ago. But I'm not sure where I'm gonna lead with this topic that I have now almost created. But I mean, to be fair, it's a fair point. We get to this age where it's like we want to do this and do that, and it's not necessarily that we're too old. It's just that there was almost a better time for, or a better time to kind of, I don't know. I don't want to say in our prime, because we're not old men. We're not on our deathbeds. We're not about to fall over and kill.
Stay in my prime, baby. Yeah, I mean, I wish I had these opportunities when I was in middle school and high school. You know, it was all Mavis Beacon, that little typing game. You know, just see how quick you can type words. So.
And nowadays, kids are being able to be at school and play video games like this. Like even just us, like in high school 10 years ago, I can say at least for me, that was definitely not a thing at the time.
Yeah, I had the pleasure of working with Indiana high school, and one of the teachers said that 60% of students that never participated in an extracurricular activity are now participating in an extracurricular activity due to esports. So it's great to see a lot more kids getting more opportunities as well that wouldn't maybe participate in like traditional sports.
Yeah, like I like here just to touch back. I was the sore loser growing up. Like I got taken out of baseball when I was 8 because I couldn't hit, and I would throw temper tantrums going back to the dugout, and my parent or my mom just one game said, nope, that's it. Like literally came to the dugout, grabbed me by my arm and just said, we're leaving. Grab your stuff. You're done. Didn't play baseball again until I was like 14. Yeah. But got kicked off a couple basketball teams, got punished a lot for it. And like, once I hit 16, it was like, okay, I need to change this because I don't like where this is going anymore. Then it just kind of became something where it was like, I wasn't as aggressive when it came to like necessarily pursuing sports. I still played them, but it wasn't like I was going to work my hardest, because I knew if I worked really, really hard at it, if it didn't go my way, it was going to be like, well, shit. And I'm just going to start getting really, really pissed. Luckily with video games, though, I suck at most of them.
And to your point, I think we're all a little bit of a sore loser when we were under like 16. Like it was tough to deal with losing as a young kid, but I mean, those are things that we need to kind of help shape us, because unfortunately in life we lose a lot, right? Like not everybody gets to be that billionaire on a yacht. So you take a lot of losses in life, and so if you can learn to weather that storm early on, it helps harden that skin later in life.
Yeah, it really does, especially when you get punished.
Especially
as much as I did.
My God. It was never too bad for me, but like it's just I don't know. I would still like try as I could, but I did stuff like cross country, like track and field.
Oh yeah.
And it was in the time it wasn't like a whole lot of fun to me now, but looking back on it, I feel like there was so much more I would be able to take out of it and like genuinely like improve a bit, because like even talking like my freshman year is like, yeah, like you can be as good as this guy right here, the senior, like you just got to work hard, man, you can do it. I'm like, hell yeah, I'll do it. I was not on the cross country team next year. I was very much not focused on that at all. But then I went to like a career center focused on video production, and I have somehow gone from video production to the other side of the screen. I don't know how the fuck that happened, but I feel like I've gone over this in a previous episode. But it is the nature of just like you try things, maybe you don't like them, maybe you just don't. Maybe it's not for you even just in that moment. Maybe it's something you pick up later in life where it's like, oh, I enjoy this way more now. Who knows why? But, sometimes it is just a maturity thing, honestly.
Yeah. Mega, were you a sore loser or a sore winner?
Oh, I'm still a sore loser. What are you on about? I am I am genuine. Like, okay, here's the thing. I think it's evolved past being a sort of. I'm no longer like. It's not like when I was younger, because I truly would throw some temper tantrums like a child. I absolutely did it. I'm not gonna deny it. But like losses now, it upsets me. But it's not like it used to be where like I would just sort of lash out and just be pet. Like I would more just sort of internalize it and just be upset with myself, and just sort of find different ways to turn it around. But yeah, it's a whole thing, like some people are like, oh, you should be able to keep your emotions in check. Like if a loss is disheartening and you put your time and effort into it, like if you actually care about the thing, then yeah, you should be upset. You should be a little bit like, annoyed.
I think it's okay to show the emotion, just not throw the controller.
Oh yeah, no, don't break the controller. Those are expensive nowadays.
Don't throw a baseball.
They
bat.
are. Who threw a bat? Is there an inside joke on this?
No. That was what got me. That's what got me taken away from baseball. I threw a bat.
Gotcha.
There you go.
He was ready to start a riot, bro. He was going to charge the mound.
Honestly, though.
Yeah, let me go charge the like pitching machine.
Oh, okay. They used a pitching machine when you were playing, huh?
Yeah, 35-mile-an-hour pitching machine.
Okay.
I somehow got hit by a ball one time from a pitching machine.
Well, you've come a far way. Now you're our favorite basketball caster, bro. This guy makes every shot. There definitely isn't like a popular gif of him missing or anything. That would never exist.
Oh, snap.
That'd be crazy, wouldn't it?
Okay, Hunter,
Good,
I'm
keep
waiting,
my
for
eyes
you,
out
I'm
for
waiting
that.
for you to post
It'd
it.
be crazier if someone had that sitting in their files. That'd be real crazy, wouldn't it?
I don't know where it is, man. Here, I'll just put.
Let's say if I want to find it, I just pull up the spawn point, like Twitch immediately, and that's the way to find it.
I'll just post the emote version of it. It's not that big.
Oh my god, so small!
How did it get shrunk?
Because it's an emote. Yeah,
Do you
so.
not just have, like, a thing about
Okay, I see it in general there.
I'm gonna do my own search for it, please.
Let me see if I can find it. Just give me a moment.
Did you not like post it on your like YouTube?
I don't know if you ever seen that movie Along Came Polly, but there's a dude in that who just always shoots the basketball horribly. Right, but like he'll yell out like brain freeze or something, like he's gonna make it, and then just it's so bad. Like the shot is so bad.
No, I know what you're talking about because I've definitely seen the clip before of that exact moment. But what makes this funny is that I was actually trying to make the shot, like I was trying to make this shot because it was like I was doing like a skit for myself. I'm not showing the.
Oh, that's not the right one.
I was doing like a skit because I was bored one night, and so I was trying to make like a over the back shot onto a Papa Shy I had in my house originally, but I missed so bad. I was like, yeah, that I need to stop right there because I didn't even hit the I didn't hit the backboard, didn't hit the rim, didn't even hit the net that contains the ball. I missed it so far to the right, it almost landed in a box I had next to it. I was like, yep, that's where it ends.
You should have just went back and like added in the sound of like a perfect swish net to it.
I should have. Here, wait.
Swish.
Yeah, I found the proper one. Not the
Yeah.
full on video, but it's the GIF. You
I
gotta get it up.
Yeah, I have to
Okay.
share my screen
I'm trying to see if I can find an actual, just like if I can somehow convert it down into an actual.
One moment. I'm
File.
now going between screens.
Take your time. Honestly, it is a in our grassroots. I believe it is one of the more famous GIFs.
Yeah, I mean it's
Ballin'. That's so great. Hey, you made it into that like cardboard box back there, though.
no, that's like perfect cutoff because it also just bounced out of that and landed in front of my feet. Like,
Yeah, I mean, it looks perfect. It looks like you meant to just make it right in there.
yeah, like I think Hunter. I think the main reason this got a lot of traction was because Hippie took it for Friday Night Overwatch for CGL. And when they did the predictions, he was like, if you got it wrong, you got the Dex Balling Award for getting it wrong, and he would replace your camera with this.
That is still like the featured clip on the CGL Twitch.
Yeah, it's
right
it's
now.
funny. Oh, here, let me get this
It's
back.
extremely fun.
Let me get. Crap, I'm trying.
Is it the highest viewed clip?
It might be.
No, it's close though. It's close. It's top 5. It's not the top one,
Yeah.
but it's top 5. We've made history.
Moving up, baby, moving up.
So
Honestly, though.
go ahead, Hunter. Finish your.
Oh no, that was my thought on that. To be quite honest with you, because that's just really cool. There's one thing I did want to bring up at some point, and you brought it up at some point because when we did our cast before, I'm pretty sure our situation was we casted a game, the second game got canceled, and we were waiting for the third one, so we just started talking about like literally everything. And one of the things you brought up was Tarkov, because you did some stuff with Hunt Premiere, correct?
Yeah. Yeah, I still cast for Hunt Premiere, and then I'll be on the main Battle State Games page next month as well. But yeah, my background is actually a picture of me and Pistilli. I got to meet him and that friendly guy and some of the other big Tarkov streamers at TwitchCon. But there's a lot of really great people in that community, and it's a really good time over there. So it was one of those things, like with anywhere with casting, the hardest part is getting your foot in the door. You know, if you can get your foot in the door, 9 times out of 10 people like you. And so I went out on a limb and I said, hey, I'll do, set amount of gigs for free. And, if you like me, then we can figure out something. And so I did, I think 3 or 4 gigs. And then the next thing I know, they're paying me, and it's in British pounds as well. So like, that's like $1.24 per pound. You know what I mean? So it's like, they tell you you're getting this much money, and then you get exponentially more when it hits your account, and it feels nice.
Conversion rates are fun.
I don't think any of the other of us have been paid in pounds before. I know I haven't.
No.
Have you, Dex?
No, I haven't. The only person that we know that's been paid in pounds is probably Spectreon, but he's British.
Spectreon.
Well, it's almost like he's from Europe. That's crazy.
But they have a pretty big EU scene. They just started an NA scene. We did our first NA tournament not too long ago, and they've just created a semi-pro league as well. So they've finally got recognized by Liquipedia and all that stuff. But taking steps in the right direction, and so it's always cool to see. I guess we're all laughing at the same thing.
I know.
Yeah, so like Dex would keep posting these. I still think they're hilarious videos of him. Like he'll get this new outfit and he'll do like this walk in. And I got to a point where it's like every time I see one of these, I'm going to make it into some kind of meme.
I love it, bro. That's great.
It's been a while since he's walked in with one now.
Call him Mr. Automatic Drip, bro.
Now, like the best part about all these things, like I just find these at TJ Maxx and Ross. I don't spend a lot of money on the stuff that I wear.
No, I feel it.
Didn't you?
It's cool though. I mean, it's little videos and little content like that that it takes the right person to see, and then you get a little niche following, and you just have fun with people.
Yeah, it's like I love doing this type of stuff. I just haven't done it now in a while. It's like I have ideas, but it's like I just don't ever actually jump at the opportunity or the time to actually do it.
I wish I was a little bit better at video editing, because it takes me a while to get stuff done, and I hate doing it. Now when I'm done, I'm like, oh fuck yeah, I made that, and that's pretty cool. But the whole process of it, I hate. It's tedious and I don't enjoy it.
I personally enjoy it. That is partially coming from me studying video production, which in
I heard you say that earlier. Yeah, video. So
learn about video editing. Now I'm not great at it. We've had people on this that are 100 times better at it than I am, but it's something that I find very fun to sit around and just have this moment of like, yeah, I'm gonna grind away at a video for 4 hours. Why? Because I want to. Am I putting on my YouTube for views? That bitch ain't getting views. I'm telling you right now. That's gonna get 4 views. All right, that's gonna get 2 likes on Twitter, and I'll be doing numbers. That's doing numbers for me.
But I mean, honestly, that's pretty much how everybody starts. Like, I think at times it's easy to be discouraged by those things, but yeah, I mean, it's good to take a step back and just kind of take a deep breath and be like, you know what, that's where everybody starts. I mean, everybody, puts out. I think I've even heard Mr. Beast talk about the amount of videos he put out before he got 10 views on a single video. And I'm personally not a Ninja fan, but Ninja talks about how it took him 8 years to get, to become successful at what he does. So that's why I always like. I always kind of think it's funny when people talk about, oh, they want to do this and they want to do that, and then within 2 years they're like, oh, well, it's not fair. These people get fame and I don't. And the fact that people get upset when their friends are succeeding blows my mind as well. Like I don't care who succeeds first. I want to see all of you succeed. If my time comes 6 years after yours, so what? If it never comes, so what? At least I'm doing what I love, and you should be happy for like-minded people doing something similar around you.
Yeah, like absolutely. Like anytime I see Hunter or I see Mega or any of the other people I've casted with or worked with doing like these awesome events, it's like, yeah, I'm like rooting for them. It's awesome to celebrate that. Like hell, a lot of our producing friends and observing friends just went to it was either LA or Las Vegas to do the Fun Haver Invitational. And that was awesome to see that. It's like they're getting recognition, and I love when, you know, people I consider friends are getting recognized for doing an incredible job, because we've had some of them on and we've talked about like, you know, you might be one of the best at this role they do here. So when they actually get that recognition and that opportunity to go out and travel and do these events, it's like it's awesome to see.
Yeah, and when I first started casting 6 years ago, almost every caster I asked didn't want to help me. Where can I find more jobs? And nobody wanted to help me. It was such a weird thing. And so I've made a very strict point to like, I will provide any help that I can to other casters that are in need. I always reach out, try to get them in the tech Discord. Like we don't always have gigs for them on the regular, but it's good for them to get a foot in the door. They become a backup, and then, you know, maybe the following season they're there full time. But like anytime I meet other casters that I even just a little bit enjoy, you know, and they tell me, oh, well, I'm looking for more work, I invite them to the Discords I'm in. I point them in the right direction, because I don't want people to have to deal with the same shit that I had to deal with, where people are like, oh, if you get that job, that might be one job I don't get. Like, there are a bunch of jobs out there, and you're not going to get every one. And I feel like the community is going to grow in the right direction when we start being a little bit helpful to everybody. You don't have to go and give them everything, but I think, you know, just even just a little bit of advice goes a long way when people are willing to take the time, because time is money, right? And everybody is always looking for more time. You never have enough time in the day to do your podcasts, your streams, and, you know, do everything you want to get done. So if I can help somebody out with just a little bit of time, like it makes me feel good. And because I don't want people to have to deal with what I deal with when I first started in this industry. It really was not fun.
Yeah, and I mean, like, especially in some of our leagues and with the production side, but like producers and observers, like everyone kind of says like gravitates towards BPL or Bad Patch Mario League, where that is a place where if you're wanting to learn how to do like production, or whether it be producing, observing, replay op, like you go there, everyone is so hands-on. Like if you want help, they will help you with a lot of stuff. It doesn't matter who. It might be Poofa, it might be Knock on Wood, it might be Salmon. They are going to be there to really help you like learn how to do it. They're not going to tell you how to do everything like you just said, but they're going to help you out and be able to answer the questions you have very early on. And it's really, really awesome to see like that we're a part of a community where when new people come in, they're able to find that help almost immediately.
Yeah, I mean, that's refreshing to hear a little bit, because I know my journey was not like that. I don't know if you guys had similar experiences or not, but it was really tough and at times discouraging. You know, I mean, I wouldn't let it ever deter me from casting, because this is genuinely what I love to do. But there, you know, there's times where people might just be having a bad day, and then when someone comes along just to shit on them a little more, you know, it can be devastating to some people. So it's like, you know, I tried to be the opposite of what I had to feel, you know, when I first got started. And I've gotten a lot of good feedback. Sometimes it's come back to haunt me, but it's very, very few times, which I'm okay with. You know, if 5% of the time it bites me in the ass, so what? That other 95% is worth that 5% risk.
Yeah, and like I've always said, like if anyone ever wants my opinion or my help, like reach out, please, because I want to help out as many people as I can, because this is something that, like you said, you love doing this. I love casting as well. I want to just make sure that other people can have that same kind of like love that like we have for it. Like even if it's small and they don't do it as often as us, but every time they do it, it's like they find that passion, they find the love, and you know, it might develop into something else where it's like, hey, they're trying to do this as much as say you are right now, where it's an every night thing for them, or you know, they're happy just doing it like 2-3 nights a week if they can.
Right. And that's the great thing once you get going. It's like it's all about what you want. You know, if you have a job and you just want to do it on the weekend as for, for fun, you can do that. If you want to chase it as I mean, there's so many different options there. And so obviously some are a little tougher and not all of them work out, but I mean, as long as you have a general understanding of what you want from it, then, I feel like you're going to have a happier outcome.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to kind of piggyback on this here, like, and we've gone over the hour mark here, so this will be probably our last topic that we talk about here. But touching on what we just talked about, people that have came to you for help, like especially at the high school level, because I imagine there's a lot of players there, but has there been anyone there that has said like, hey, I want to try to do what you do with casting? Have you given, like, what are the tips that you give them?
Yeah, so honestly, this is probably bad of me because I want to eventually monetize this a little bit on my website where I offer this almost as a service. But I've had some, even at Tech over there at the high school league, students that have played and then transitioned into casting a little bit. And so they'll ask for a little advice or different things. And so, I'll touch base on some basic stuff, but I say, hey, bring me a VOD or something. And so we'll sit down and go over a little VOD review session with them and talk about the casting. Listen to it as a whole, and then if I hear something, then I can pause it and say, okay, this is something that maybe we should work on a little bit in transit. Just basically picking out some of that basic points. But if it's someone new, I never try to directly attack. I'm like, hey, this is pretty good, and it's a good start. You're new, but this is maybe a different approach to the situation that would make it sound a little more fluid. Or I mean, obviously, there's so many different things that come into play when casting. It's hard to like pinpoint a specific thing that I might have told them without having it in front of me. But yeah, I mean, it's, just kind of touching on basic fundamentals, being relaxed because everybody gets nervous, and for me, it's kind of like what we touched on earlier. You don't have to know the name of every move when you're getting started, just be excited about what you're doing. If you want to call it an ultimate, call it an ultimate. And that's the nice thing about the high school level is a lot of the parents don't know what all the names of the alts are. They're just happy that you're there, you're showcasing their kids, you're showcasing the young talent in a good light. And so they just appreciate what you do. So when people are asking for jobs, I almost always point them to the Tech thing as a starter, just to like get, kind of get their foot in the door, and it's a little experience. If you have a hiccup here or there and you make a mistake, people aren't going to come crashing down on you. And so just kind of like little things like that, really. But VOD review, I think, is the biggest thing, whether you're playing on a team, whether you're doing casting, I mean, anything. VOD review, and then I always tell them communication is key. Whether it's a relationship, a friendship, a workship, it doesn't matter. In life, with anything, communication is key.
Yeah, absolutely. I imagine, all three of us here, Hunter, myself, and Mega, can easily say that, the first time we've VOD reviewed and up until now, like, you always learn something new every time. And it might be the smallest thing you learn from a VOD review that ends up being like the biggest thing that you start implementing and start changing in how you cast and how it makes it feel a lot different and makes it feel a lot better as like your abilities with casting. Like the time, like I need a VOD review more. I always say that.
Yeah.
But it's like it's awkward for me to reach out to people I want to like get to VOD review me because it's I know it's like a thing where they will probably say yes or no, or they'll say yes, but it's the same thing with kind of this podcast. I'm always very nervous or skittish to kind of reach out to people because I don't want to take up their time. And have them come or have them do a VOD review, have them come on this podcast, even though like it's no big deal. If they say no, like, hey, that's perfectly fine. Yeah. But it's always a thing of like, I don't necessarily want to be shot down if I was really looking to this person, like say, hey, can you do a VOD review? I just want to, get some feedback on how I'm doing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's tough because you don't want to bother somebody. And then when if they do say no, it sucks to hear that. But honestly, you don't know if you don't ask. And so yeah, sometimes it's nervous, sometimes you have to contemplate it for a whole weekend, but the best thing to do is just ask. And hopefully you get the answer you want, but if you don't, so what? Find somebody else. There's plenty of people out there. Maybe it didn't go your way this time. I mean, it's like if you go fishing or something, the first 9 casts, you might not catch something you just got to keep trying. And so it's about, I guess kind of getting over that fear a little bit. Like, being okay. If someone gets upset by me asking them to do a VOD review, so what? I'm not upset about it. So if they're going to be upset, let them be upset. So I think, it's just, I think in this industry, it's always great to ask questions, always great to ask things. You're not always going to get the advice that you want, or, and you don't always have to use the advice you get, but at least by asking, you get both sides. You can kind of take that input into consideration and come up with your best plan of action.
Yeah. And like, I've slowly been getting over that with this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I've said this multiple times. I have been very, very lucky a lot of times. And like this week, I wasn't able to reach out to anyone. Hunter said like, hey, I could ask Haughtsauce to do this. And like you said, yes, that has been the case for the majority of our episodes, where the first person that I reach out to says yes. Like they're down to do it.
I was happy when he asked me, man. I was excited. I saw the other one, and this stuff to me is fun. Getting to know other people in the community, sitting down, having a little drink, just having a little chat, and just kind of shooting the shit to me is fun. And kind of going back to like that question you'd asked a moment ago, like another thing that I always tell people who are asking for advice or who might be new, don't get hung up on mistakes. It doesn't matter what job you do. If you start out at McDonald's, you might forget to put cheese on the cheeseburger one day. There's going to come many points when you're casting that you scramble your words a little bit. The easier you just let that go out of the back of your mind, the sooner you can focus and continue on having a good cast. If you keep thinking, oh man, I wish I would have, and then you're not focusing on the game. So everybody makes mistakes in every job that you do, or whether it's just not a job, it's just everyday life. Everybody makes mistakes. It's normal. People have to recognize it's normal and not let it affect them too much.
Yeah, it for me personally, that was a difficulty for some time. Dex, I remember we both did the what was it? With the summer series stuff for the Timeless broadcast project.
Yeah,
you did like one or two for that.
I did one, and I always consider that one to be my worst cast ever, and it ate at me for a week.
I would join a very similar conversation. I did a match between it was Good Boys and I can't remember the other team, but it went to a Map 5 situation. Up until the very end, I felt pretty all right about how I did. And at the very end, my brain somehow registered that like an Ana used a sleep dart, but there was no Ana on either team. And my mind fixated on that during the final fight, the final moments of the match. My brain went into that mode and realized I have fucked the finish.
I was casting
I'm like,
a Rocket League game of Trinity and West Virginia, and my other caster said West Virginity, and I laughed. I couldn't help, bro. I gave it a good hearty chuckle. I was like, West Virginity, bro. Like, so I mean, it literally happens to everybody, and sometimes it is tough to move on, but it is best to like put it out of your mind for the rest of the cast, and then go back, do the VOD review, address the situation, and move on. But it's always easier said than done. Like I can tell other people that, but then when I make a mistake during a cast, there's still times where I'm like, it's eating at me a little bit.
Yeah. Mega, do you have any?
Yep, I was gonna say I brought it up before, but you talked about Joker Haughtsauce, and like I've said it so many times. Do not put me and Joker on the same cast. Something will tomfoolery will be afoot. That's where that's the several clips have come from there. There was one very specifically, very well known at this point in the CGL community of where I just wasn't thinking. I was just talking about Wrecking Ball with Joker, and I just go, I've seen some crazy balls these days. And Joker, instead of bailing me out, just starts laughing, and it immediately devolved from there. And I'm just like, well, that's happened.
I have several clips of my friends from Llama saying we were doing a Rocket League one. He said not by the hair of his balls or something because he just barely missed it. I got one of Mr. Bepic talking about the school was Mary Queen, and he was talking about the defense. He's like, you just got to spread apart Mary Queen if you want to look to get a goal. And so like I always clip my friends saying funny shit like that. So I've got a little stash myself, but yeah.
We just have a collection in the CGL thing of just things like that of soundboards.
I mean, you got to be able to laugh at stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like I said, it's going to happen at some point. So you have to be okay with it. You have to be willing to laugh at yourself if you're going to laugh at other people.
We have a producer friend who's been on this podcast before called Echo. She has.
I know Echo. I've worked with Echo a few times.
Yeah, so she has a playback or recording playback where we record the previous minute. She has gotten some incredible out of context lines from all of us.
I believe it.
So I also realized there are new soundboards in the CGL thing, and I don't think I want to click them based on their names. I think I'm good. I think I'm good. You'll probably know what I'm talking about pretty quickly, Dix.
Oh,
and I'm pretty sure I know what that is.
Is it Spectreon Riz?
No, I know the Spectreon.
Oh, I know that one. That was from TEC, actually.
No, you know what?
Oh,
I will not think.
Oh,
Yeah.
I see which one.
Dex is fine.
Seeing a Hunter giggle back there.
No,
I've been dealing about a lot. There is always one like misstep that I always laugh at, and it never got saved. And when I bring it up, no one ever remembers it. But it was a Saturday Night Overwatch thing we did last season, and Bullskunk was on the desk, and we were doing one of the game show things, and I don't know how this came into form, but he was like, "I'm about to bust," and my that's the only thing I can think of when we talk about these kinds of things, and it never got saved, it never got clipped, and I'm almost fine that it did, but my brain always goes back to that. Also, Bullskunk, if you're listening,
would love to have you on.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious.
This is your formal invitation.
Yeah. No, anytime you talk about SNO and the mini games, it's just without even like a second go by, the first thing I think of is, oh yeah, we're gonna play Whose Toes Are Those? And I just Whose Toes Are Those?
That's hilarious. I don't even know what that is, but it just sounds hilarious.
You don't.
It's exactly what you think it is.
Oh yeah, I could imagine.
It's like, I'm happy that was the one game that I was not a part of.
That's funny because that reminds me of so I have some shirts for sale on my website or whatever, but anybody that buys a shirt, which most people don't know this, I haven't been sharing it, and they don't know it until they receive the package, but every order comes with a personalized numbered knee picture. So it's a different knee pic with me holding up a number next to it, so they know it's personalized.
Well,
and,
it's been a really
I even gave my parents one because they ordered. Yeah, exactly. My parents ordered a shirt, and I was like, I can't leave my parents out of this, so I had to include a knee pic in my parents' order as well. But
well, thank you for giving me probably the name of this episode.
Knee pics.
Knee pics in Overwatch.
Yep.
Well, and the most recent one, I had my wife draw a face on the knee, so I'm branching out slowly and making it even more and more interesting.
Yeah, welcome to episode 11, titled "Knee Pics?" ?
Yeah, my parents. I'm assuming my parents probably threw theirs away, but I was like, I can't give every order an knee pic and then not give my parents one as well. So.
I thought we had a good clip maybe a couple minutes ago, but I think I just found if I'm gonna clip something for Twitter, what it's gonna be.
Oh, I wonder. It's somehow not the first crash out walk away I've had on
No,
this
it's not you. It's not you walking away. It's what Haughtsauce
That's crazy.
Said.
That's crazy because I just got a double order from some guy named Huntertain.
Hey,
it's also going to Ohio.
Private. I will just come pick it up.
He said, "I'll come pick it up personally."
I will take my own pick.
I want a live knee.
A live knee pick.
Way more IRL knee picture.
See, I bet you never thought we would be segueing into knee pics when we started this, huh?
No. Honestly, it's probably not the worst segue we've ever had, though.
It's definitely not.
So is everybody here their username based upon their actual last name as well, or the real name?
I think I might be the only one, honestly.
Okay.
No.
How'd you come up with your name, Dex? And then.
Yeah, actually, that's a really good
question.
So
my dad, growing up, my dad just started calling me Dex. I think he told me one day it's because anytime he would come home from work and I'd be sleeping on the couch, Dexter's Laboratory would be on.
Oh, awesome.
He added the Atron part because I was really into the first Michael Bay Transformers movie, and he only knew Megatron.
That's funny. I call my son Samatron for that reason sometimes. That's like what his little name when he streams sometimes.
Nice.
What about you?
Yeah, what about you,
Mega? How about you, Mega?
Well, my first foray into the internet, literally 11 years ago now, and it's crazy to think about that, and I feel ancient. But
here we go.
I just wanted to upload Pokemon content to YouTube. Like that was gonna be my thing. I love Pokemon, and so I was, this was right after Mega Evolution started being a thing. So I was Mega Cacturn because Cacturn is my favorite Pokemon. And then after a few years of that, I was like, by God, doing Pokemon every day sucks. It's boring. And so I moved on to, but I was like, I have everything branded as Mega. I had like made a bunch of stuff as Mega, so I was like, what do I do with this? And then it was just kind of Megalass because I thought of like the trainer name Lass. That way it could still technically be Pokemon. But fun fact, Cacturn being a cactus Pokemon, if you did not know, is the reason I am a cactus VTuber. That was kind of the inspiration still carrying over.
And wait,
Oh, I hit the stupid button.
yeah, I was gonna bring that up after we ended. Like you've had the tears for a while.
Yeah, it's one of my hotkeys. I wasn't thinking. I clicked it.
So wait, Haughtsauce, your name is actually based off of your last name? You're muted.
Oh, you are muted, good sir.
My bad. Yeah, I swear I've done this before once or twice, but no, my last name is Hot, and so I've just people have always called me Hot Sauce since I was little.
Honestly,
In fact, when my daughter was born, I had a little onesie made that said Mild Sauce on it.
oh, that's actually really cute.
Yeah.
How did the last name Hot had to be good growing up? Because it's probably something very easy to say, unlike my last name.
Well, up until like middle school, it was Corey's not hot, and then once I got a little older, then people, Corey's hot. So at first it kind of sucked, and then it was good.
Here, I'm typing my last name into the chat here. There's a good reason why there's nothing from that name in my name.
How do you say that? Jedrzejczyk?
Jedrzejczyk.
Jedrzejczyk.
Yeah.
Jedrzejczyk.
Yeah. I didn't like Star Wars enough to try to do something with Jedi, which a lot of people said, why'd you not do that? It's like, never got into Star Wars.
I have a tattoo of Boba Fett on the back of one of my legs.
Ooh.
Love Star Wars.
Nice.
The names just always come naturally. I quickly, because I know you're trying to wrap up here soon. But originally, I was called Eternal when I was doing stuff way back in the day. To come to realize, there's a top 500 player who does a lot of stuff called Eternal. I need to change my name now. And my friend Drew or Draconic had that name. I'm like, okay, I could do something similar to that. So my brain is just like, I'm gonna throw the words Hunter and Entertain together, and now we're here for the last 4 years, and I pray to God I never have to change my name again because I am good as I am. I hope all of us. I like your name. I like your name. I definitely like your name. So if we could stay as we are, that would be perfect.
Yeah, and now that you say that, I remember having that conversation when we cast it, because then I couldn't quit being going, "Are you not Huntertained?"
There's a gif of that. It's very much a gif of that. I don't know if I can find it in the conclusion of the next 3 minutes, but I bet I can find it.
But here, I'll say this: we know one person who does use their last name in their name. To Try Hard Ray. I really thought his name was Ray. It's not. It threw me completely off guard when I found out his real name is Riley. But
they're gonna say it was Try Hard.
It's Try Hard, but it's spelled really weird. It's Danish or something.
Oh, okay.
But but there's a lot of people we know that actually do use their name. Like there's Try Hard Ray. There's Sam Talks. Why are those the only two ones? Those are the only two ones I can think of right now off the top of my head. That's sad.
Yeah, it happens. Yeah. Little brain fart action. It strikes me all the time, bro. I struggle all the time.
You would think as a caster, you would be really good with remembering names, but no, I suck at names.
When I cast, I literally write down everything, and I put my two teams, and I put the names of those teams on each side as well. I literally write down everything when I cast. That's just the old fashioned in me, I think.
That's what I do when I cast Rocket League. I will write down the name or the abbreviated name that I'm going to call the person. So I keep stats, but I could always just reference back to okay, yeah, that's their name.
Yeah, the other day I had one, and I even wrote it down, Mythic Writer, and I separated the two words. And then when I was casting, I called him My Thick Writer. So, like I was telling everyone, we all make mistakes, right? This was this was 2 or 3 weeks ago I did this. So, you know what I mean? Even after 6 years of doing it, like that stuff happens from time to time and you just have to be able to laugh at it. That's like I said, I got clips of my friends. My buddy clipped me saying that and he saved it. Like, it's just one of those things that happens from time to time and you have to be able to laugh at it.
Yeah. Here, last thing, and this is a question and answer here for everyone. What has been like the wildest name of a player you've had to cast? Like I can give you an example. This past week at LAN, a Overwatch player's name was Mommy Milk.
So I had to stop the game from even starting because the prod didn't see it and the coaches didn't see it. This was a middle school Rocket League game, and the kid's name was Coom Chugger. COOM, Coom Chugger. His profile picture was SpongeBob with a raging heart on. I am like, how did nobody not read and or see this? And we were about to go live. I'm like, you guys have to tell him to change his name. So they went and got him like a standardized, this school #1 account. But I was just like, the fact that, that almost went on air blew my mind. And the fact that it was a middle schooler as well. We've had a lot of crazy ones recently in TEC. One that I don't even know if I could say, but yeah, we've definitely had to start cracking down on some of that.
I genuinely need to think because I've definitely had ones that are just like super hard to pronounce or don't really make sense because if you cast EU for a certain amount of time, you just run into the most bullshit names. I'm gonna be honest here.
I have an EU CS team that I cast for, and some of them are definitely awkward. But they taught me that Živio means cheers, and it was like Croatian or something.
Okay. Megalass, do you know your answer while I quickly think of mine?
Yeah, Mega.
I can't even think of one.
We're not gonna talk.
Like it's not even a matter of talk. There's so many examples, but it's just like thinking of one on the spot is crazy. Not specifically a player, but back when BPL last year was getting to do some of those group stage OWCS matches, if anyone remembers the prod account that Face It literally said you were not allowed in to observe. It was like mommy's femboy or something.
Yeah,
Yes.
It was I think mommy's little femboy.
It was like mommy's femboy. It was like this product got Face It themselves as well as like EU like pro players were like, who the hell is that? Like they were losing their shit at this name, and like it was the first time I'd ever seen an account actually just not allowed to do something. It was the funniest thing in the world.
I wish I had a great answer
Hunter,
for
just
this.
pick
The
one.
only thing I could say is just to give an example of when I casted the other day for CGL.
Say Joker.
And we need to be. I could just say Joker.
You could just say
Joker has played on stream technically, so I could technically say that. But we had to make a correction because someone's name, which by the way, if you look at it, it looks like welfare. It just looks like welfare, and everything that it's lettered is spelled welfare. And I'm ready to go and do like run by the team and their their names. And then I checked the chat just before, and it's like, hey, their name is actually like White Flame. I'm like, how do you get this? How do you get White Flame from this in this specific situation? It is basically spelled welfare. And I'm ready to go out there and call them welfare. It's not the best example, but it's the most recent thing because...
Well, they all have random X's in their names now, too. And they're like, well, you have to guess whether that's a vowel or not. Like,
if you have like XX underscore something, those don't exist.
Yeah.
Those don't exist to me.
420 no scope Mountain Dew underscore XXX.
That's our next team name. That's next season CGL, ladies and gentlemen.
Shoes Product Crew is going to blow up at the end of this season and rise from the ashes as
knocked out. It's done.
Yeah. All right, but I think that should do it for us here. Haughtsauce, thank you so much for coming on, man. This was a really fun episode, man. Thank you so much for coming on. Hunter?
Yeah, honestly, I had a great time, and so thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it. It was fun.
Yeah. Down the line, if we ever ask you to come back, or would you be down to come back if we ever want you to?
Hell yeah!
All right,
that's a big hell yeah.
All right, hey, we gotta get to that point first. So there's a lot of other people that we want to get.
Oh, no worries.
Here. All right, but Hunter,
before we go, can I toot my own horn real quick?
Yeah, you can.
If there's anybody that happened to be watching, it's _Haughtsauce_ on Twitter. It's pretty much hot sauce on everything else. I stream almost every day of the week on top of the casting. And then, of course, Haughtsauce.com. There's a schedule on there of everything I'm casting with a calendar. You can click on the date. It's got a link to take you directly where the show is as well. And so appreciate any and all support and love. And again, thank you guys for having me.
And I will make sure to put that in the description here, your website, so that people can find it a lot faster. And if I can figure out how to do like the little like banner pop out as well.
No worries.
On the video.
Either way, I appreciate you guys to the max.
Yeah. Hunter, thank you so much for getting Hot Sauce in here. Mega, thank you as always for being a part of this. But everyone, that'll do it for this week. As always, join us next week when we have no idea who it will be, but it'll be another fun episode. Again, thank you guys so much for coming out, and see you next week.